mechanisms and procedures to facilitate integrated planning, address implementation disjunctures and duplications in planning and budgeting. In fact, we must do everything in our power to eradicate duplications and ensure that we align planning and budgeting. Chairperson, in my capacity as the leader of government business, I pledge to this House that the executive will always be accountable to Parliament. To Parliament, in other words, the National Assembly and the NCOP, which houses the people's representatives. You are the people's representatives, and we must make sure that we as the executive accounts to you as the people's representatives. We must ensure that we facilitate and deepen executive accountability by ushering in a new culture of cooperation between the NCOP and the three spheres of government. This cooperation should be based on a shared commitment to better the material conditions of our people, but it should also be rooted in a deep reverence and respect for the people who elected us to serve. Furthermore, policy making and legislative processes require active participation, as we indicated earlier, to hear the views of our people, to address their concerns as citizens. We must strive to create meaningful channels for engagement and dialogue, fostering a culture of transparency, responsiveness, and accountability. And I know, Chairperson, that the NCOP does programs like going out to communities, in fact, taking the NCOP to communities. Those are very important programs that keeps us in touch with the people. It is therefore most commendable that the NCOP has created this strategic platform to address three-sphere planning disjunctures and anomalies. This platform now presents a poignant opportunity to articulate the critical imperative of elevating the status and importance of joint planning. We have been talking a lot about joint planning, including introducing the district development model. It's important that we must see to its implementation. Within this context, I wish to issue a clarion call to members of the executive across all three spheres of government to hit the call for joint and integrated planning, budgeting, and implementation as facilitated by the DDM. I know that there are some people who don't like the DDM, but we're going to implement it. Yeah, some people will say, it won't work. It is working. It is working. We are going to make sure that it works. Chairperson, the second call I'm making to the three spheres of government is to ensure effective activation and functionality of all relevant IGR structures and fora across the three spheres of government, particularly as they relate to the operationalization of the DDM, which the President has asked me to lead. So it is working. Honorable members, given the current levels of poverty and inequality in our country, it is both urgent and imperative that we do away with silos and individualistic ways of working. It is only through a unified and integrated planning and budgeting implementation approach that we will be able to address the challenges facing our nation. Gone are the days where we plan separately, we budget separately, we try and implement separately. That is not working. If there's something that's not working, it's that one. We need now to integrate our planning, budgeting, and implementation. And the DDM is the way to go. Thirdly, Chairperson, I also wish to inform members of the executive across the three spheres of government to expect a continuation of structured engagements between the National Executive and the National Council of Provinces, in particular on critical issues affecting provinces. Part of our responsibility as leader of government business in Parliament is to introduce measures to improve the quality of legislation by the executive to Parliament. So it's not just that we will bring legislation timeously and make sure that legislation is passed, but we must ensure that the quality of the legislation is proper. So that's what we're going to do. And then secondly, we will ensure that we monitor the implementation of these pieces of legislation. I'm very pleased, honorable members, with the NCOP's performance in processing legislation during the 6th Parliament. Only 5 bills lapsed in the NCOP during the 6th Parliament, but they have since been revived and currently before the NCOP committees. So I think we must commend the NCOP for that. I therefore encourage the current NCOP, all of you, the new ones, the new delegates, to focus more on the consideration of processing of priority legislation, including bills with constitutional court deadlines. There are various pieces of legislation, as we know. Others are as a result of the courts, particularly the Constitutional Court. Others are priority legislation because of the areas where this legislation is required. So we will be working with yourselves to ensure that these priority pieces of legislations are implemented timeously. Chairperson, we will continue to encourage members of the Executive Council to avail themselves when called to appear before parliamentary committees and fulfill their constitutional obligations. I must say, Chairperson, that we do have a challenge that we will try and resolve with the presiding officers, is really the scheduling. And members of the executive have been raising this with me, that on Wednesdays in the main we have cabinet meetings, cabinet committees. So when they are called to come to committees on that day, it becomes a bit of a challenge. But we're going to sit down and look at how we will try and align our work so that we don't want members of parliament whether it's NCOP committees or National Assembly, to feel that the executive is disrespecting them by not appearing before committees. So we just need to deal with the scheduling problem. Furthermore, we are committed to working with the NCOP to facilitate social compacting between the National Council of Provinces and the leader of government business, which is critical for accelerating the transformation agenda. By working together through social compacting, the NCOP and the leader of government business can streamline legislative processes, enhance oversight mechanisms, and foster cooperation on key issues affecting transformation. We must ensure that the NCOP conducts oversight over all critical IGR structures towards the operationalization of the DDM. All spheres of government must be ready to cooperate and work together for the realization of a better life for all. I emphasize work together because it's very important. If we are to realize a better life for all our people, we must work together. Honorable members, as I conclude, I want to urge all of us, let us pledge to uphold the values of honesty, diligence, and dedication to our country as we set out to create an oversight agenda for this 7th Parliament. Let us work together in unity across all party lines and government levels to protect and uphold the principles outlined in our Constitution. We are aware that parties by their very nature are competitive. We compete for support. Everybody wants to be in power, and you can do that by displacing others. But there is a time that we must understand we are here to serve. Our people have put us here to serve, and that's where we need to cooperate. We need to work together to ensure that we serve our people. There will be time when we go back to elections where we campaign, we compete, but you must remember there is time to serve. And when we are called upon to serve, let's do that with diligence. Let's do that and focus to ensure that our people can indeed have a better life. We can, Chairperson, work together to create a future that is equitable, prosperous, and sustainable. Let us take this chance and run with it with compassion, with vision, a clear vision, but also a determined resolve to succeed. That's what we need to do. And I would like to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come and emphasize the need to work together, to plan together, to implement together, but also for me to be able to say to the NCOP, do your work of oversight without fear or favor. Hold us accountable. Chairperson, we will not sulk. We will not have problems if you hold us accountable. You must do that with determination with all the members of this House. Thank you very much, honorable members. Inkomo akensi.
Deputy President there, Paul Mashatile, speaking at the NCOP, encouraging members of the NCOP to hold the executive to account when they are before them, saying that it's very important for them to be rigorous with the executive so that they can at least be able to be accountable because they are servants of the people, and also saying that government continues to push this idea of the district development model, saying that it does work and it's going to continue.